That's not me. That's just a stock image. I am. Sorry. I'm so excited to announce the opportunities at Microsoft. So I'm Trish, Rana, and I'm a marketing manager at Microsoft, and I focus on indie game developers. And today I wanted to share with you guys a little bit on the different opportunities we have at Microsoft that is specific for game developers. They're all initiatives, nothing salesy here, so we don't want your money for anything here. We just want to help you guys out. So yeah, don't be suspicious. So quickly, the first thing, I just got this link 2 minutes ago. So this is one of the gaming challenges that we are announcing. It's going to be launching as of today. You can be building a game across any platform. You could be an iOS dev or an Android or even a Windows app dev, and also a console developer. And what we're doing is we have $1.2 million worth of Azure credits to give away to 20 studios, up to $60K per studio. And if you want to go ahead and build a game, or if you already have a game and want to incorporate a cloud backend or anything innovative around cloud with it, by all means apply for this. You'll be given a dedicated account manager and a technical account manager as well to go ahead and build a game and submit it to the account manager by June 15th. You'll also get the opportunity to be, the top 3 will be awarded at the Taiga Game Summit, Cloud Game Summit Award on July 2nd. And if you're a console developer, you will also potentially get a chance to go to E3 and to EGX as well. So that is the link to go ahead and apply. I'll also use the hashtag IGC15 to tweet that out. And you can also follow me at Trish Tweets.
That's not platform dependent, is it?
It's not platform dependent at all. You'll be surprised, Microsoft's open now. But we are. That program really will take you through the different stages. Don't look at this yet. So it's actually BizSpark. So any startup, so basically this is a 3 criteria thing. So if you're younger than 5 years old and if your turnaround rate is lesser than $1 million or 700,000 pounds, you're actually eligible for BizSpark. You get free development tools and you also get Azure credits. And through that program, you get fast-tracked into BizSpark Plus, and that's how you get your 60K Azure credits. So we also have this program called Microsoft Ventures. So those of you who are potentially interested in getting a space through the program, if you get selected, your account managers could allow you to get a space in our London Ventures office in Whitechapel. So let me tell you a little bit more around that. That's Microsoft Ventures. It's a 3-month program for early stage tech startups. It's a workspace at Whitechapel, and you have 3 years of Windows Office server licenses and other development tools. You also have the Windows Azure, as I told before in the previous slide. You also get a lot of mentoring, like our past cohort had a lot of mentoring from, that's Sam, I'm sure you can't see that. He is actually an executive at one of our studios, so he will give you a lot of input on how to build your game and where you should see yourself going. And then we also have local partners in the same building, so you can have access and talk to them and network. And more importantly, you get an opportunity to network with publishers and investors. More on that a bit later. And the next cohort is going to be in September, and applications will open in May. Watch out for that space if you're keen on getting into that program. And as you guys all know, this is the ID at Xbox program. I'm going to whiz right past through that, but this is one of our initiatives as well for indie developers. Most importantly, I want to focus on green shoots. This is something that we've been doing every year since 2013. We've just ran our 2nd year in the running for green shoots. This is where Microsoft partners with Creative England to support indie developers who are building games with up to £250,000 worth of cash injections £25,000 per studio that comes through. And this time we actually opened it to Xbox One as well. And obviously the other platforms as well, as you can see. This year, something interesting that we did is, the pitching panel session, we actually involved our partner investors and publishers, and we also got up to 4 out of our 10 finalists, get funded, fully funded. I think there was a cash injection of up to $500,000. And also priority consideration. So 2 of them didn't have ID kits, and they got, as you guys know how long it takes to get an ID kit, but they actually got fast-tracked into that program right away because they were involved with green shoots. Now that being said, I would like to introduce you to one of our heroes through the Green Shoots program, and they were one of the finalists who did get funded by the partner investor publisher, and we'd like them to talk about their journey. Guys, Paul, Norris, and Dan.
Hi, I'm Paul. I'm the creative director of Mad Fellows Game Studio, and this is Dan.
Hi.
I'm just going to talk to you really quickly about our sort of journey from being AAA developers for many years over to indie. So this is like a brief history of what we've done in the past. Both myself and Dan worked at the same companies on the same projects for, well, since about 2001. I started off down here doing environment art and, went on to car art, marketing artwork. Then up towards when we started with Activision, working on Guitar Hero, doing gameplay design on that, and then sort of audio music on DJ Hero. And then we decided to go independent, but I'll let Dan run through his...
Yeah, similar story. I started Codemasters in 2000 as a programmer, working on their multiplayer network program. Worked my way up through their core departments, left, joined Freestar Games, similar sort of thing, working on the graphics in the core department. And then, as I say, we started at Mad Fellows.
Right, so we'll show you a quick video of the first game we've recently put out.
That
was pretty slick.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a music game. So yeah. All right. We released last year on Windows Store, well, Windows 8 and Windows Phone, and then we released early this year on iOS. And yeah. No, so yeah. It's weird with the microphone. Yeah, so we're just going to talk about like how we went from being AAA developers. You'd think that I think everyone has the same. I mean, if you're going from a full-time job into being a full-time indie, I mean, you have the same kind of concerns. And I mean, these were our main ones. Is I've got children and a mortgage and responsibilities, and there's job security, and I've built up a career over getting on for 14 odd years. So it's a big thing to take that jump and actually do it. But all of these things actually kind of turned into positive things, like the family thing. I'm a lot happier these days. I'm a lot less stressed. I'm doing what I want to be doing. And job security is something I now have actually an active, I've got control over it to a certain extent. I'm kind of in control of that destiny. I can see what's coming, I can see the problems. And for the most part, I mean, any game studio, it's sketchy at best. You just don't know about it. So, and the same with the career. You'd think that with that big list of games, we'd have a huge list of contacts. I'll get onto that in a minute. But do you have anything else about that? No, cool. So yeah, I mean, thanks, man. Yeah, so
paying the bills.
Paying the bills. Yeah. So the most important thing was to have a plan to work out how we're actually gonna do things. So obviously you've got to pay the bills up until the point where you can pitch for investment. And there's a load of different ways of doing that. I mean, we lived on as little as we could for about 6 months running up to leaving. We just stacked up as much as we could in the background, and then lived on that half for a few months until we could get through to the pitch. But I think for anyone that's, you know, at that point where they're thinking of becoming full-time, doing indie development, I think just being having sort of milestones for at what point you decide this is working, this isn't working. So if you can get enough to keep you going for a few months, sort of halfway through that, sort of start thinking, is this going where we wanted it to? Are there opportunities there? And we decided that after 3 months, if there wasn't sort of good opportunity out there, we'd spend the next 3 months looking for a decent game job. If that come into 2 months, it'd be any job. You know, just so at least we had a point, so we could sit down with our other halves and sort of say, this is what we're doing. We're not just jumping blindly. And but yeah, talking about contacts, you'd think with that much game dev, you know, experience that there'd be some contacts, but we had none. For that reason. And all of the contacts in AAA are, it's the management, they're out. I've never been to E3, I've never been to GDC, never done anything like that. We're always back here sort of looking at it on Facebook and that sort of thing. And we always had this thing that the contacts you needed and the investors and the publishers were people that we just didn't have access to. They'd get shown around and you'd have to sort of get the right thing on your screen and be really quiet. Probably just me. But so yeah, so when we left, that was what we were most concerned about. But the first thing we did was we went to Game Horizon, which is an event that runs alongside EGX. They do a marketing summit and an investment summit. And I don't know whether anyone's familiar with this, whether it's like really well known or... What you do is you write a one-page description of your game that you want funded, and then you give that to them, and they choose people that their investors want to meet with throughout the day. So through that one ticket and writing that one page, we got to meet all those guys down there. And the first meeting we had was with Creative England, who had just announced the first green shoots. We had a meeting with Microsoft that day as well, and it all just tied in really nicely. When they announced, we were sat in the presentation like this when they announced green shoots, and the time scales for what we were doing matched up, and the fact that you got to keep 100% of your IP, which was our ideal. We wanted to be as close to that as possible, but the thought that we could actually do that was really cool. And through those guys, I mean, on the first green shoots program, which these ones up here, we had so many opportunities. They hooked us up with like Player Research, who do amazing, amazing stuff. The BizSpark program's already been mentioned. We've talked at Tiger and Develop and EGX, and they hooked us up with Dolby with some presentations at their big Atmos theatre thing, which was amazing. And yeah, and we were fortunate enough, we pitched for green shoots too in this actual room.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's this one.
Yeah.
You guys did well.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so we pitched again for green shoots too, and we're blown away to be on that again. I mean, it's been, you know, going from AAA to indie, it's been really, really great, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Really, it's been a really good year. So
it's probably worth mentioning as well that the support we got from Microsoft was phenomenal, just in terms of, you know, developer support and the access to the programs, and we got fast tracked onto different things. So it's a really good scheme if you can get onto it.
yeah. Yeah, account managers that sort of spent their own personal time talking to us when we were releasing. We got the game featured on the front page of the Windows Store, sort of globally, and you know, the account managers really were just spending their own time on the phone to us when we were trying to submit stuff to try and get it to go through and to try and fix issues with it. And it's been 100% positive, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we pitched for the second green shoots, and like I say, we're over the moon to be on that one as well. So, as Tricia mentioned, they had investors that came in, sat in on the pitches, and Kuju have got a new startups fund, and they completely funded the rest of our development on top of the green shoots thing. So we sort of came out of that meeting with, you know, everything we need to carry on and get a console game done. Got dev kits now and Unity, and it's all like, can't recommend it enough really. It's a really good skill.
Full speed ahead.
Yeah, so I think it's about us. That was basically just about making contacts really. Like in AAA there's always someone between, and we've become very wary of people that got hold contacts to themselves and don't, you know, hand them over. And you know, actually networking and people doing introductions is great. We're really suspicious when someone goes, we'll take your stuff and show it to someone else. So we've just become really wary of that. Yeah. Feel free to come and ask us anything about Green Shoots, about our game, about anything you like. Or hit us on Twitter. That's that. Done.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Well, the next one was supposed to be another sizzle, but since we don't have sound, go past that. So clearly a really good case where, you know, you guys leveraged what was there, you know, available to you, and, you know, used, you know, what you can do, and you've proven to yourself to be quite successful. Similar to, you know, Paul, I believe in his cohort, the first cohort in Green Shoots, I also wanted to, you know, point out, you know, how can you dovetail all our programs? This is a really classic example. You know, obviously you guys are a classic example too, but these guys, they actually access like all our programs. You know, they got onto Green Shoots, they secured BizBox, they got funding through App Campus, which was a program they had initially. They also got accepted into Microsoft Ventures, they got pushed through ID at Xbox, and they also got added benefits. They were showcased at EGX. This is my coolest thing that I really love. This is their game, and they're like featured right next to Call of Duty and Titanfall. So, I mean, we really want to show from the UK, we really want to bring all our indies out there, show to the US market that, you know, we have a strong, you know, indie developers out here in the UK. So that's it really from me. This is, again, I know a lot of you guys were excited about the Raspberry Pi 2, so this is your chance to go ahead and win it. Yeah, that's it. If you guys have any questions, I'll bring that back for some light. Any questions for me or for Paul and Dan?
I was just wondering, when's the next Green Shoots? Is that next year?
So we're actually, it is usually an annual thing. It starts in September, it's a launch. It is going to be that, but we're going to start doing a different format going forth, but more on that in our next announcement. But yeah, it's usually in September, and we're really, really excited to get more applications. Any other questions?
Hi, it looks like there's a pairing of Green Shoots, which is Creative England funded. Are there any initiatives that have UK-wide funding, say for Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland?
Good point. So I am in a conversation with the Welsh government right now to bring this the same program to Wales, and I'm also talking to Creative Scotland, so that way they could also bring this program to Wales. I mean to Scotland, sorry. It really is dependent on them, you know, collaborating with Microsoft. By all means, we are completely open to. But if anybody is specifically interested, we're definitely willing to talk to you to see, you know, how we can put you in touch with our partner investors and publishers and get you funding through that route as well. So if you have a game, if you have a good idea, feel free to reach out to one of our business developers. We're right here at the Microsoft stand, and we'll see what we can do.
It's fair to say Microsoft is all about the networking. They don't
Exactly.
talk about the funding. The funding comes from proper investors and proper people doing the actual venture capital investments. Microsoft basically put you in touch with them and work with that relationship.
We're thinking of coming up with a platform where we can, I mean, just because, you know, Green Shoots is such a successful program, and especially this year, we had, you know, investors and publishers getting really interested and coming in along for the pitching process as well. So we're actually thinking of coming up with a platform wherein we put the indies in touch with investors and publishers, almost like a Tinder for game developers and investors and publishers. I don't know. Yeah, so, exactly. That's how I'm pitching it to my boss. So.
Okay, thank you.
I've got a question for the Madfellas guys. What's the kind of timeline for that your journey, and what do you plan sort of to do with the next 6 to 12 months?
We left our jobs in
2013.
yeah, sort of summerish, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we spent a month putting a prototype together. Something we should have mentioned actually, because we had no history as a company ourselves. So bring up the logos of games we've worked on and things like that, but it's no representation of us as a company. So we put a quick demo together, which was about a month, 6 weeks worth, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We tried to get like a bit of everything we could do in there to prove we could do the whole sort of cycle, but just on one part. So all
I hate to use the phrase, but a vertical slice.
oh god. It was a vertical slice, and then so all we were asking an investor for was to fund us to do more of the same to finish the game off. So after that, we went through and released about the first game.
May.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was May.
Yeah, on
And then Dolby in June, yeah.
That's it, yeah. And then we released iOS 15th of January.
Ish.
Yeah. No, it wasn't 15th,
Good day.
yeah. And now after that, we'd already started, while we were kind of promoting the last release, we'd already started sort of designs on this one. And we put the pictures together for that. It's only just sort of started. We've got our dev kits now, we're ready to sort of kick off with it. We haven't got anything, which is a shame we haven't got anything to show today, but yeah, so the whole process has been, yeah.
We'll have another Bragg show in Dolby again in June, so that's kind of how we're going to roll it. So
Yeah.
there are console stuff you can pass in.
But I mean, yeah, just from the leaving our jobs to actually getting some funding, I think it was a few months, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have to take a job in Tesco at any point?
No, it was.
Almost.
There's been some scary times, but yeah, like I say, we had to sort of sit down with other halves and say, this is the point at which we'll go. This isn't working. So we didn't. The fear was that we'd back ourselves into a corner, leave our jobs, be developing something that had no funding, and it just all trickles out, and then suddenly we're screwed. So yeah, it didn't come to that, fortunately.
We've got to move on to the next one now, because Yuki want to kick us out at some point, don't it, Sam?
Yeah.
Yeah, now unfortunately we're out of time, but thank you again to Microsoft for sponsoring the day.